What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I am, of course, your host, your bastard of ceremonies, Reckless Rexx Ruger. That is, of course, the Freddie Mercury puppet. His teeth are out, which means he's excited. I'm excited. We got another great fucking guest. He's here now. This is where the cool kids come to chop it up with your boy, Rexx Ruger. And today is no different. We got a fucking good one. Let's get down to it and chop it up with him right now. Let me add that I almost fucked this up today by not knowing my time zones, but I digress. We made it happen. Eddie!
Yo!
Listen, man, my apologies, man. Once again, fucking up my time zones.
No worries, dude.
I lost your camera. There you go. It does happen, though, man. You know, I've noticed from doing this podcast, man, and some of them are really difficult, especially when you start going overseas and interviewing people from, other countries, man. It gets extremely difficult. I've even had the guys on recently from King Parrot. They're way the fuck over in Australia, which blows my mind that it's already tomorrow over there.
Yeah, no kidding, man. That's crazy.
You got to get your camera back on.
Yeah, let me, I think because I'm driving. Let me get this thing off. Get off the road here. I'll be right back on.
But how are you, though? Good?
Good, man. It's busy. My busy season right now with my production company.
Oh yeah, control. You're down in Texas, man. So you've got the luxury of being able to do outdoor work year round, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, in summertime, this summer was kind of slow for me. I don't know if I'm back on camera here.
No, not yet. There might be a camera icon down at the bottom of the screen there. If it's not doing it through your phone. At the bottom of the screen there's like a microphone and a camera option down there, and
no camera. Hang on.
Or you could bounce out of the room and pop back in again.
How to do that?
Just disconnect, use the same link, come right back in.
Okay.
Yeah, try that. Usually a camera will come right on. And folks, if you don't know, we saw a brief snippet of him. EDDY GARCIA is our guest, man, drummer for Pissing Razors, which I had a terrible case of. I was just saying in my preamble, man, that being 51 years old, I had a nasty case of prostatitis a couple of years ago, man, and I felt like I was pissing razors. It was not fucking pleasant at all, man. So I can sympathize, man. Not pleasant. I don't know if this happens to all older men, but I take a lot of trips to the fucking bathroom during the middle of the night.
I haven't had that problem, not yet.
Good.
Anyway, so.
Good. Try to keep it that way. I'm interested, Eddie. If I can go back to the your backstory a little bit. Was there a specific record or an artist or a song that really put the bug in you to start doing music? Do you remember who that was?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. It was AC/DC when I first heard Back in Black. So I grew up in a small West Texas town called Port Stockton.
Okay.
And so there was really no radio out there. It was just like Spanish music, country, right, and disco, So I didn't hear like any of the great metal bands till I was like 15 when I moved to El Paso.
Yeah.
I didn't hear Zeppelin or Black Sabbath till they were already broken up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was exposed to everything pretty late, but when and the bands that I did hear back home in Port Stockton, it was really, just bands like Kiss, which I'm, not a huge fan of those guys, and I tried to get into them and I didn't get it. You know what I mean? I didn't get it. But when I heard, I think the thing about the Back in Black record was just simply how it sounded.
It had some balls. Yeah.
Yeah. Not to this day, it stands up to any record that's been recorded today, and me being, into the audio stuff, which I didn't know back then, but, I am now. But, it just sounded great. The songs are freaking amazing. It turned me upside down. I go, there's got to be more of this, Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when the quest started to find more music like that. And then soon after that, I started playing drums. And it took it from there, man.
And so you initially starting Pissing Razors with your brother, which for people that might not know, you guys started around like 93. He exits the band around 96, 97. Is he still involved in music in any way, shape, or form?
Oh yeah, man. He moved to New York soon after that, and he's been up there ever since. So he kind of does the same thing that I do here, the music production, audio,
Yeah.
lighting for events and stuff like that. And he opened, guess you could say it's like a coffee slash bar, but it's more like a live streaming studio.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
so he has like artists, from all over the New York area. They come in and perform. They live
Yeah.
stream it live. It's a pretty cool idea, and that's finally taking off for him. And so yeah, he's been involved in some aspect of the music business and for ever since then.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned like the audio engineering and working like behind the scenes. Obviously, you take the stage with Pissing Razors, but you have worked with so many legendary bands. Do you have a preference? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, you've been doing this so long, you've developed a comfort level on stage, but do you like the performing aspect or do you like the behind the scenes stuff more? Or is it about the same?
I like them both, man. It's gratifying on both ends. To get on stage with the other guys and have a good set and play well and see the reaction of the audience and just that's one aspect of it. On the other aspect, if I'm doing front of house for somebody, it's really falls on me to make them sound freaking good. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like the band, you can have the best band on the world on stage, and then you're playing through 5,000 person room, and it sounds like crap coming out of the PA. I mean, it's not going to translate. It's not fair to the band that you're mixing.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a really important aspect to me. And so when somebody entrusts me to take care of that for them, I got to make sure it's right.
Now, you started initially, for fans that might not know, when Pissing Razors first started, though, you were the guitar player.
Yeah.
And then you segued into drums. When you segued into drums, was it out of necessity?
Yeah, kind of sort of. What we had going on is so I would start off playing guitar, and Matt would be on bass, and my brother would be on drums. And then, like in the middle of the set, we'd switch instruments. I'd go to drums, my brother would go to bass, and Matt would go to guitar.
Like pulling a
And
Chinese fire drill.
yeah, something like that, man. We were just having fun, It was good times. And so when my brother left the band, it was obviously hard to find somebody that could play, bass and drums. So I just, decided to go back to really my main instrument, which is drums. And Matt's, obviously very proficient at guitar. So that's when we found Rick as a bass player.
What was it about the drums, though, that drew you to it? Because, obviously sometimes, when guys start bands, obviously like the lead guitar player gets to shred. They're out in front of the stage. Obviously, there's a big responsibility and a focus on the front man. A lot of people don't consider like the bass and the drums, which obviously are vital and really hold the band down or whatever. But they're not always the positions that musicians gravitate to because they're the less glamorous positions. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, what drew you to drums? Like, was there a specific drummer that you looked up to or idolized?
I just the instrument itself, man. I just found it fascinating. I mean, in high school I played trumpet, and it's like I like playing music and playing trumpet was fun, but it's like, man, to me drums just looked so much funner,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I remember
Bash on
asking my
something.
dad. I knew all the cadences that they were doing for all the marching band stuff. And I asked my band teacher if I could switch to drums, and he wouldn't let me. So around that time, my cousin wanted to start a band, and he bought a drum set and a guitar amp and a bass amp and a couple, a guitar and a bass, and uh, and that's when I got on my first drum kit and started messing around with that. I didn't even have cymbals; I was just playing on the rims. But I mean, it was just from then on, I totally hooked.
What is it about school music teachers and that goddamn trumpet? My grandson just brought a trumpet home too. He's 10 years old. It seems like they want to push everybody initially towards the trumpet.
It's no, it's like I think the only test ever in school throughout my school days that I actually worried about passing. It's like when I was in fifth grade, they give you a a test to see if you're a musical aptitude test
Yeah,
to see if
yeah,
you can even get into band.
right.
And that was the only test I was ever scared of failing, because I
Yeah,
wanted to be in band so bad.
yeah. You wanted to do
And
it, yeah.
yeah, so when I got when they accepted, it was the high school band director came over, and he's like, "Well, what instrument do you want to play?" I go, "I want to play trumpet." He goes, "Well, your teeth are crooked. You should probably play baritone or trombone or tuba because you're gonna have a hard time with the smaller mouthpiece." I go, "No, I want to play trumpet." I go, "I don't care." And he actually got mad that I wouldn't, appease him by playing these other instruments, but I didn't care. I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew which instrument I wanted to play. And he was right. First year, my sixth grade year, started off at last chair, but I practiced my ass off. And by the end of that year, I was first chair.
Way to go, our American educators, bolstering the confidence of our kids out there, huh? Telling them that
Right?
their teeth are too fucked up and they can't play the trumpet.
Yeah, exactly, man.
And now, when Pissing Razors gets together, to create music, and the last one was Eulogy Death March in 2021, and we'll get to what's coming up, with you guys. But when you guys get together, and let's say, for instance, you get together to start creating that album, what's the band creative process like? Does someone come in with the lion's share of the ideas? Do you guys get together and collaborate? Is it very democratic? How does it? How does the process go?
It's always been real democratic. But, back early on all the earlier records, I would pretty much come in with the bulk of the stuff, and we'd all collaborate and work on stuff together. As of late, Matt has been bringing in a bunch of stuff. He's been pretty prolific lately, and so we work on those things. And then if there's I think there's like a little piece missing of the song, then if I have a riff, I'll throw it in there. Or it just it's very democratic. It's like most of the time, it's like, even if it's a riff that I wrote, it's like, oh no, that's not working. Let's throw that out. Let's try something else. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's pretty easy going, man.
And what about like touring? Like, do you like, I know as I get older, we kind of like our creature comforts. We like being, I feel like as I get older, I'm more of a homebody. I like to stay like close to the nest or whatever. Do you still enjoy getting out there and touring? And, how long do you like to be out there, man? Like, what's a comfortable itinerary for you guys now? Like, if you guys go out and do like live shows?
Well, for me personally, I mean, I don't mind being out there. I mean, my kids are a bit older now. My son's graduated high school.
Yeah,
Uh,
that helps.
the only thing that really holds me back nowadays, and it's taking care of my folks. They're older. My dad's 95. My mom's
Yeah.
86.
Wow. God
So
bless them.
yeah, man. So that's why I've kind of been staying home from touring. Uh, so until otherwise. But for me, shoot, if we're on a tour bus, man, I can be out there all year. I mean, it's that's easy for me. The days of van and trailer, that's a little harder. I'd rather not do those. You know what I mean?
And what about drumming? Because obviously, you do play, what most people would perceive as extreme metal. Hard, very difficult on the body, especially being the drummer. Have you had to improvise or change your style at all? I know I've talked to a lot of drummers on here who say over the years they get little aches and pains. They've had to tweak their setup. They've had to maybe change the trajectory of the stool or whatever. Have you had to make any changes like that?
No, actually, I feel pretty good, man. I think the only thing that I've changed is I never used to use a fan. I didn't mind sweating, but nowadays I put a fan on myself. But that's about it. I joke around with the guys about we're the set that we're doing nowadays. We're playing like all the fastest, most most. I'm a little lost for words here, but the hardest stuff that I got to play on drums. And I always joke around with the guys. I go, guys, about 2 years. When I hit 60, I'm retiring.
Yeah.
Just joking around though, but no, I feel pretty good. I'm pretty blessed in that sense.
Now, do you still have the same, is it hard to still get together and create and still have the same passion? Obviously, I don't have to tell you, the music business has changed so much. It's not like how it was before, where it was a little easier to to sell records. There was a little bit more of an easy formula. When record labels were present, now everything is the streaming platforms. It seems like a lot of artists get on here, and it's very difficult to get paid. People lose a lot of their music through people downloading it illegally, or maybe not getting like what they feel like they should get from the streaming platforms or whatever. Does that dishearten you at all?
No, we've never been a band that's made any money anyway.
Right,
so it's like
right.
I think in my case, I never did it for the money. I would have quit a long time ago if that was the case.
It's
but
not lucrative.
yeah, no, but for me, it was my goal was to get signed, record in a proper recording studio with a good producer, and get the records out worldwide, and then be able to tour the world, and then and figure it out from there. And we achieved all that. Now, would money be good? Well, absolutely, yeah, we could use it. But that's not really why we started doing this to begin with.
And when you're out there playing and you're traveling the world, as you say, and you're doing, festivals, and you're on the circuit and everything, have there been people that you have been fortunate enough to meet, and even been like maybe inside, like a little bit starstruck? You know what I mean? Like, have you got to meet some of your heroes in your travels?
Man, a lot of them, and I've been blessed to play alongside with a lot of them.
Yeah.
Because of mainly because of Overkill, when I played with them for a little bit. There we are. We're opening up for freaking Iron Maiden in Spain, and I'm walking across the stage, looking at all their props.
Yeah.
And it's pretty surreal, and with Anthrax, with Saxon, with a bunch of bands that I grew up listening to. So it's pretty flattering. It's pretty surreal, man.
So you must have been on that episode, and I thought it was you, and it's going back several years ago. But when I'm sure you're aware that when like bands stop in the Chicago area, that guy and his camera crew come out and do the Bus Invaders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Bobby Blitz gives a tour of the bus. You were the bus Mexican.
Yeah, I was doing the bus nachos.
You were the bus nachos, and because that was the one where Bobby said that his wife gave him the book on how to be a better Mexican, and it was just the one chapter. It was just grow a mustache.
Exactly. Yeah. I call the Overkill bus, man. I call it the melting pot of metal, man. They got
they're fun though. They're
all
fun
walks
guys.
of life on there,
Yeah,
great guys. I love those dudes.
And the best part is that because the Bay Area is so known for its legendary thrash bands, and really seems like it has the market cornered on the great legendary thrash bands. I'm an upstate New York guy, man. So, Overkill, Anthrax, some of those bands that we can claim out here on the East Coast, man, we're super proud of,
Oh yeah, man. And they're still going at it and going strong, man.
Yeah, and they're so damn consistent too. Geez, they just put out like their 20th or 21st album, and it's just pedal to the metal for them all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's never a hiccup anywhere along their way. I mean, lots of fans have badmouthed certain Metallica records. Even all the big four guys have had all the big four bands have had records where it's left the fans scratching their heads or whatever. But Overkill's never really had one of those albums.
No, they stick to their guns, man. They're kind of just like Slayer. They've never really veered from who they are and what they do. They're kind of in the same boat.
So I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, man, about what is going on in the Pissing Razors camp. As I mentioned, the last album was 2021. Is there new music on the forefront for you guys?
Yeah, the thing is, now that we're older and have more responsibilities, it's really hard to get together as much as we'd like. So it takes time, to get together and write. And right now we're preparing for a small run here in October, and then we got another show here locally in El Paso with Crowbar, and we've started working on some new stuff. The talk is we're probably gonna do an EP, and then a greatest hits record, and probably sometime after that, maybe another live record.
Well, you know you're old when you're getting a greatest hits record.
Yeah, right. Not that we've had hits, but we'll in our own minds,
Now, when you're going out on this run that you're talking about,
I think I meant to say the best of.
Best of.
Yeah, there you go.
And now you just mentioned like this run that you're going to be going out with. Who will you be out with?
A band called Salem's Child. They'll be supporting us.
Okay.
Good band up from I think Indianapolis, Indiana, somewhere like that. I'm not sure. Anyway, but we played with them the last run we were last year when we were going up to Milwaukee for the Milwaukee's Metal Fest.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought Crowbar up too, man, because it makes me think of the Louisiana scene. It reminds me that I was supposed to touch base with Jimmy Bauer and run him down to come on, and I was scheduled after your interview to have Vinny LaBella on, but he wanted to defer until October because he's actually doing a lot of work on Kirk from Crowbar's new solo album. So he said he'd have a little more to talk about in October, which always makes sense when you're doing an interview,
Oh, for sure, yeah, man.
Yeah, that always, that always helps. And so, so I got to ask, genre-wise, does it drive you crazy at all? Obviously the metal community has all these genres and subgenres, and everything has to fit in these neat little boxes. Seems like we have the most genres of any musical category out there. You guys are always slid into, and I asked this to Steve from Skin Lab as well. You guys are always put into the groove metal, and I never understand what the fuck that means, groove metal.
I think it's I think the band that probably established that was Pantera.
Yeah, Exhorder maybe. Yeah,
Exhorder. Yeah, Pantera. I think more so Pantera. I mean that when they came out, that was like just it was their style.
Yeah.
It got dubbed groove metal. So
yeah.
And I mean in years past when done interviews and stuff, we could compare to Pantera, Sepultura, Fear Factory, Machine Head.
Yeah.
All of or which bands are that I absolutely love. And so, of course, we're influenced by all those guys, but it's like they could never pinpoint, you guys just sound just like these guys. Or
right,
like these guys. It was always a group of our favorite bands that were always mentioned. So I never took offense to it. I thought it was a flattering comment, to be quite honest.
And by the way, I must say, man, that next April I will be going to see Pantera. And good news is it only cost me a fucking $111 a ticket.
Jeez.
But of course, they will be with Metallica and Suicidal Tendencies. You know what I mean? So that,
that's cool.
Yeah. But boy, oh boy, is it expensive to go see a big concert nowadays. I was talking to someone on an interview the other day, and oddly enough, Metallica was my first concert when I was a teenager, and the whole night cost me $30, $18 for a ticket, $12 for a t-shirt. So, and obviously I don't expect that to be, still the same case, 40 years later or whatever. Obviously the price of everything gets adjusted, but boy, how the times have changed though.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know what inflation, metal inflation.
Yeah. And I wouldn't call these even good seats by any means either, man. I mean, I shudder to think with the diehard people, who really sit down in what's called the snake pit there, and they're kind of right in the middle of the Metallica stage.
Yeah.
I mean, those people are really paying. I mean, I'd have to take a second mortgage out on the fucking house to sit down there.
Yeah. It's like I just worked a show in Las Cruces. I brought in production for it. And it was a band called Los Lonely Boys. They're from San Angelo, Texas, but they had a couple hits back in the day. Anyways, so they played this venue, and so they had a VIP area, and tickets were like $65 a piece, right?
Yeah.
And then for the VIP area to get a table with $1,000. Freaking crazy, man! And it was sold out. I mean, I was like, man. It's like
just for the privilege to sit down.
to sit down, and they got in the front row, looking crazy.
Now I've got the laundry list here of just a few of the legendary bands you've had the pleasure of being doing audio engineering work for: Overkill, Flotsam, Testament, Cannibal Corpse, Prong, Exodus. Do any of them particularly stick out? Obviously, they're all legendary bands, man. But do you have a particular story or a fond memory of any particular album or project that you worked on, like with any of those guys that that the fans would know or like relate to?
When I got the call to play drums on that European run with Overkill,
yeah,
and then Dee Dee told me that they were doing a live video at the end of that tour, and that was a trip. I mean, it was pretty challenging because it was like even though I work for the band, when I'm mixing, I don't listen to the music in that sense.
Right.
I'm listening for other stuff, you know.
Right.
So I had to learn like 24, 25 songs, something like that.
Yeah.
And so we went on tour and we're doing like a 2 hour set every night. And I hadn't really played seriously in about 10 years. So I go from not playing to fucking playing a 2 hour thrash metal set.
Knocking the rust off in a big way. Yeah.
Oh man, it was I was huffing and puffing, man.
Yeah.
But I think that last show, shooting the live video, it was probably one of the most memorable times for me to go on stage, as they have their fan club in Germany, the Skull Crushers,
Yeah.
and they were there in force, man. When the intro was going on, I would step on the drum riser. They had made all these little like mini posters,
Yeah.
and so I look out in the crowd, and it's just a sea of these freaking posters, all
Yeah.
from the front of the room to the back. It was
Dedication.
fucking incredible.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
incredible, man. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, all those bands that I named too. You know, the good thing about all those bands is that not only have they all had long careers, they're all out there doing it, and you know they're still doing it to a very high level. I mean, yeah, you know, even better than some bands half their age. You know, I mean, I recently I think like a year and a half ago, I went to see the Bay Area Strikes Back tour, and I'm watching like Death Angel, Exodus, and Testament up there, and I'm thinking, God, these guys are just still so full of energy and passion, you know, for the music. They're not jaded at all after a long career like that, man. And you know, they're playing better, and they're more energetic and putting on a better stage show than a lot of bands that are in their 20s.
Yeah, it's very true, man. Without a doubt, you know, I can't say enough about all those bands, you know, and it's been a privilege to. As a matter of fact, Lee Altus just called me yesterday asking if I was interested in going out with him in November, December, and I had to turn it down. So I turned it over to a good friend of mine. So hopefully he gets the gig.
And who would you be going out with Heathen or Exodus?
Exodus.
Exodus. Okay.
Yeah.
So hopefully, thoughts and prayers, man. That there's nothing. I know Tom Hunting has battled his health issues over the years. So you know, I urge fans, if he is going through any health issues, and I don't know, but I mean, I would imagine that's why maybe somebody would be stepping in for him.
Yeah.
A fucking legend, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely, man, and a great dude, man. All those
Yeah.
guys, I can't say enough about them. They're really really good people, man.
Yeah.
And it's been a privilege and to have worked with them and just gotten to be friends with them. So hopefully everything's good with them.
And so realistically, is there a timetable on like when you think that we would see new Pissing Razors music? Is it likely 2025 sometime?
Yeah, I would think so. Hopefully early 2025.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this run, and then probably through November and the holidays. Hopefully into January. Hope maybe have something out by then.
It seemed like around COVID time, it seemed like a lot of bands were almost, I think the fact that the American public or the world, the attention span has dwindled, and it seems like everybody is so preoccupied and, has their nose in their phone so much, and they want to be impressed and entertained like immediately, and then you're kind of forgotten about. Seemed like a lot of people were really flooding the market with a lot of singles and a lot of EPs. Obviously, nobody could tour, so I mean, putting out music was really the only way or whatever. But do you guys have a format that you like to ascribe to? And I mean, like, are you guys at all interested in the EP or the single, or do you guys feel like the best format, for what you do is a full-length album?
I think since we did Eulogy Death March in 2021, that the goal was to do a full length, since we hadn't put anything out in quite a while.
Yeah.
So that's why we did that. But I think the next is definitely going to be an EP.
Yeah. I think it almost seems to make sense, because it really seems like sometimes that people aren't really diving into bands like deep tracks anymore either. I mean, it is a shame. I'm from I'm from an era where, like, I feel like almost every, and I say this on here all the time, I feel like almost every album in some way is conceptual. I think the artist has it arranged, and they mean for it to be listened to from start to finish. The songs are put in a certain order. Like, you wouldn't just put Pink Floyd's The Wall on and dance around different tracks. It's not meant to be listened to that way.
Yeah. No, I get you for sure.
And I think that's especially important, when you're talking about metal, extreme music, or whatever. it seems like even a lot of those albums are the same way. You sit down and listen to, King Diamond, them. I mean, you're not gonna jump around. He's telling a story there.
Yeah. No, for sure. I agree 100%, man.
I mean, and I have to ask, because you are in Texas, I got to bounce this theory off you. Obviously, there's a great death metal scene in Tampa, Florida. We've seen great bands like yours and Pantera come out of Texas, the Louisiana area. There's great metal, down in Arizona. Is there a correlation between great aggressive music and the fucking heat? Because it seems like the heat is the breeding ground for all great music, and again, no offense to Overkill, who's up here in the Northeast in Jersey or whatever, man, but hot weather states seem to spawn the greatest fucking metal music.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the weather or not, man, but I think, I think for us, obviously our influences are quite apparent, but when we first started, it was just, I started the band to be extreme.
Yeah.
And because here in El Paso, there wasn't hardly any places to play original music.
Right.
You had to play covers to, get into to play a club or this and that. And so after, years of doing that shit, I was like going, man, fuck this. Let's do something just fucking crazy extreme. Who gives a fuck if anybody comes to see us? Let's just go out and have some fun and write music the way we want to do it. No holds barred. And ironically, I mean, people started liking it, and it is what it is today,
And again, this is just my hypothesis right here. Also, coincidentally enough, all those aforementioned states, also the states with the most fucking serial killers too. So there is that as well. You know what I mean? There's a lot of heavy music and a lot of serial murder going on in hot weather states.
Yep. Possibly so, yeah.
Now, I got to ask, I know he's only in there for a couple of years, man, but sometimes we see it work well and sometimes we see it absolutely implode. But for the years that you did work with your brother in the band, how was it working with your brother? I mean, obviously siblings can butt heads a lot, I mean? Like we see it with the guys like in Oasis, but then we see bands, who have brothers in there who get along fantastically. What was it like actually working and creating with your own brother?
It was pretty easy going, man. We get along pretty well. He's, we're kind of night and day as per certain things, but as when we played music together, it was pretty easy going, and everybody in the band's just pretty open minded to ideas, and it's like, oh well, that's good, or no, that's not so good, or it was never had any issues of getting along or whatever.
That's probably a good thing. So no one's going to come back and say that you guys are like the Alex and Eddie Van Halen of the extreme metal world. Because it seems like nobody can work with those guys. And I used to think, geez, maybe it's David Lee Roth's fault or Sammy Hagar's fault or Michael Anthony's fault. But the more books I read about them, and the more I look at the situation, it really seems like they're the ones that are fucking nuts. I mean, God rest his soul and rest in peace to the legend Eddie Van Halen, man. But I don't know, man. I think they might have to look in the mirror and see who the difficult ones to work with are. I don't know.
You never know. I mean, I don't know much about it, but I do remember Hagar saying something about it. He goes, we had 9 great years and 1 bad one.
Yeah.
And he goes, we were out there and the brothers were not having fun, and me and Michael were. That's all he said about it.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah, I get that from them. Well, listen, Eddie, man, it's been a real pleasure getting a chance to talk to you, man. I don't want to leave you in that sweat box of a car, man. Hopefully you had the air conditioning running this whole fucking time.
Oh, yeah.
But you're probably used to it by now anyway, though, man. You're probably a warm-blooded guy living down in Texas anyway. So, I mean, I do like it warm. I was down there once for a wedding, man, down around the San Antonio area, going back several years, a friend of my wife's, man, and it was certainly an adjustment when you're coming from upstate New York and walking out of that airport and getting hit by that wall of heat.
Wall of heat and humidity on that side of the state.
Heat, humidity, and I was very worried about getting bitten by something down there that would not make my vacation go very well. I remember she took us to a watering hole, And, because up in upstate New York, we're not used to like a lot of critters and stuff around here. Yeah, we have harsh winters, we have cold weather, but for the most part, though, we don't have to deal with anything other than just like some bees and stuff like that. But we were swimming in a watering hole. We were only in there for a couple of minutes, and then some guy comes running down the bank, frantically waving his hands for us to get the fuck out of the water. Apparently, there was a water moccasin swimming up on us.
Oh shit!
Yeah, which apparently I don't know anything about, man, but they can be temperamental, fucking little snakes, and can be on the aggressive side.
Yeah.
That will ruin a vacation, right? A snake bite will ruin a vacation.
Yeah, I don't like snakes, not at all.
But so living out there in Texas, have you had encounters with snakes?
Ironically, no, not many. Besides friends that have them as pets, it's like.
I can't get behind that. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't get it either. My daughter loves them, man. She's like, "Daddy, you're scared of snakes?" I go, "Well, yeah, I don't like them. I'm not scared of them. I just don't like them."
Yeah, you kind of got to play the macho part a little bit. You're not scared of them. Wink, wink. So I got to ask, I usually save these questions for towards the end, man. Just two quick ones, man. For you, your Mount Rushmore of all-time artists, man. Your top four. This is strictly subjective, man. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even just got to be metal, man. Like, your four favorite artists.
Well, as I said before, AC/DC.
Yep.
Got to have Rush in there. From Newport, it's a huge influence.
Gotta be.
Let me see here. Dio.
Another upstate New York guy. Yeah.
So those bands, my high school years, listening to metal, they were the ones that like constantly playing them all the time.
So how many was that? Was that 3 you said?
AC/DC, Rush,
Dio, Rush,
Dio, Maiden,
yeah. And last but not least, if I'm dropping Eddie Garcia on a desert island and he can only take one fucking album with him, what's the album?
AC/DC's Back in Black, man.
I'm glad we came full circle right there. And you stayed consistent, man. You opened up by praising that album, man, and it's going to be the album that you're essentially going to go to a desert island and fucking die with.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at least you'll be happy and you'll be listening to some good tunes. You know what I mean? Eventually when somebody does find you on that island and you're just a fucking skeleton of bones, man, but they find that CD or album or whatever there, man, they're at least going to say, hey, this guy ended up on a desert island and he fucking croaked, but at least he had good taste in music.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I appreciate, man. I'm glad I finally ran you down, man. I know we had a couple scheduling difficulties or whatever, man. I apologize for not getting my time zone right today. Shame on me for that, man. But I'm glad we got to make this happen, man. Please stay in touch, man. When something gets cooking or you guys are going to drop some new music, I'd love to have you back on here for sure.
Definitely reach out to you, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Eddie. Thanks so much, man. Really enjoyed it, man.
Take care, man.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Later. There he goes, folks. The legendary Eddie Garcia from Pissing Razors, from Houston, Texas. I think I got that right. From Texas. I'll leave it at that, man. I believe he said in the message that he was, shit, now I'm going to have to fact check myself. El Paso, Texas is where he currently is. Eddie Garcia from the great, I guess, from what everything says on the internet, groove metal band, but you can draw your own fucking conclusions, man. I think they fucking hammer fucking hard as hell, man. If that makes you groove, that makes you groove. But Pissing Razors, an amazing, legendary band, been doing it since the fucking early 90s, man. Well into a fucking 30-plus fucking year career, man. Doing it fucking exceptionally fucking well, man. And Eddie Garcia started out as a guitar player, segued into the fucking drummer, man. And they've been punishing us and brutalizing us with some of the best fucking metal music over the years, man. Their last album was 2021's Eulogy Death March, which is a slab of fucking face-melting fucking power. Some real potent fucking shit right there, man. Rexx Ruger approved. But, of course, anybody that I have on here is pretty much going to get the stamp of approval, or I wouldn't have them on here. And totally respect what they do, man. And Eddie has not only played with Pissing Razors, but ran sound, been the engineer, and for some of the great bands that I mentioned, been out on tour and filled in for the mighty Overkill, and just the guy's got a fucking one of the more stellar fucking resumes and one of the best guys too, man. And so I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Thank you so much to Eddie Garcia from Pissing Razors, man. Really enjoyed that fucking chat, man. Of course, this is where the cool kids come to chop it up. And Eddie is one of them fucking cool kids. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Make sure to like and follow us on Facebook. And make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay tapped in on the Pod Scum fucking universe. And your boy Rexx Ruger, a.k.a. Diamond David Lee Roth Jr., even after a fucking long fucking interview, still fucking looking fucking stellar. And so is the Freddie Mercury puppet, by the way. His teeth have been out and flaring for the whole fucking show, which means he's been excited. His teeth are like two fucking erections. When they're out and they're really fucking out, he's excited, man. And, I mean, look at those chompers, man. Come on. One of the all-time greats. A lot of greatness in this episode. Obviously, the great Diamond Dave looking down on his pride and joy, Diamond Dave Jr., the Freddie Mercury puppet, and of course, the legendary Eddie Garcia. Much thanks to him, man. This has just been one big, giant fucking legend fest, if you will. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, man. As always, stay tapped in with Pod Scum, man. Stay tapped in with your boy, Rexx Ruger. And just like I always end these things, let me remind you all to take it easy and keep it sleazy.